going to mention highly sensitive people are also known as HSP. So I sometimes shorthand it and say HSPs or non-HSPs. There are people who say, wait a second, I'm highly sensitive, and they're offended that I might say that there are certain people that I perceive as being highly sensitive than others. They say, I care about people, I'm a nice person, and I explain that the trait of high sensitivity is a differentiation of the nervous system, so it is both physiological as well as psychological. It's a trait that can be considered having positives and negatives. And the positives are the highly sensitive person is gifted. One of the lines I like, and I think it's absolutely true, is that not all gifted people are highly sensitive, but all highly sensitive people are gifted. The interesting part is in our society, it's not really embraced. The American way is to be gung-ho, go for it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, grin and bear it. Highly sensitive people who, by their nature, pause to check and are processing things and ruminating on information, it takes them a lot longer. And in a society where to be aggressive is the ideal, the idea of being a highly sensitive person and processing deeply, maybe taking until the next day until you can come up and have thought about it enough. I'm seeing some people nod in the audience. And a lot of highly sensitive people don't understand how gifted they are and what a good thing they have because they get caught up in the depression or the anxiety or the insomnia or something else that seems wrong. They seem like they're broken. It's not a flaw. It's not a character weakness. It is a trait that you have. Take care of yourself and let the good side flourish. And by knowing about it and knowing there's a community out there, a lot of people say, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was crazy. Just to know that there are 15 to 20% of the population that can relate to most all of this is very comforting. So I sent him a copy of the Highly Sensitive People self-test, and I get an email back. He was at a psychologist conference in Orlando, Florida. I get an email back saying, oh my God, I'm a highly sensitive person. I took the test. This is very important. All caps, 3 exclamation mark. To a highly sensitive person, that's yelling. Don't send highly sensitive people emails all caps. It blows their circuitry a little. So anyway, he is now referring me to books, and he's doing research, and he's now including some of my material, which he's now embracing. A nice long 3-page email from a lady in Belgium. And she said, boy, this is so helpful. I've never heard about this. Your website is me. It's going to really help me and many people I come in contact with. And she said, and having been a marriage, family therapist and counselor for the last 20 years, it'll come in handy. And I'm realizing the fact that it is such an important trait has sometimes been mislabeled, or it'll go under another category. I think that all highly sensitive people are introverted. They get energy, they get overwhelmed, they get energy from themselves. A non-HSP probably gets energized by being out and about and in a crowd. Dr. Barry Yeager, who wrote the book, Making Work Work for the Highly Sensitive Person, I had heard one of the meetups, and I said, do you find you've cut people out of your life? She goes, no. And I go, oh, that's unusual, but there seems to be so much predictable behavior. And she said, no, when I find people that don't have the right energy and stuff, I just avoid them from then on. And I go, okay. Highly sensitive people aren't highly motivated by money. They care more about what's right, a universal justice. Greed and going after money is very secondary. Once again, not something that we in the United States see as the ideal. Highly sensitive people need to get away very often. They almost need their privacy and their alone time like the rest of us need air. And I used to
follow that person and want to know what was wrong. So you do, huh? Yeah. And you learn that is not a good thing to do and will usually escalate into an argument of some sort. So the best thing to do if they're in a funk is ask them if there's anything you can do to help them feel better. Learn what they might appreciate, whether it's a bowl of oatmeal or a glass of water or something, but to not continue to invade their space because it's uncomfortable for them.
One of my goals is not just to have HSPs function and cope with their trait, but to excel with it. Highly sensitive people go, what if we keep polluting? What if we go to war here? What if? They were thought of as the priestly advisors. They're the Merlins of the world, this 15 to 20%. Margaret Mead's quote is, don't doubt that a small group of thoughtful people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.